Hello and welcome to another revision video. Today we're concentrating on the foundation tier revision workbook from Edexcel, and we're going to be looking at section or page 56, which is fractions, decimals and percentages. Okay, we'll kick off. Question 1. Write these percentages as fractions in their simplest forms. So 24% is our starting point. 24% means 24 out of 100, so we put it over 100 to start with. Then we look for common factors, and we find that 4 goes into them both. So I'm going to go 24 divided by 4 would give me 6, and then 100 divided by 4 would give me 25. So that's then looking for a common factor of 25 and 6, and there aren't any, so we stop there. And we could have done that in stages. We could have simplified it to 12 over 50 and then 6 over 25. That's absolutely fine strategy. For part B, 64%. So that's starting out as 64 out of 100. And then we're looking for common factors. And 4 is going to go into both of them. 4 would go 16 times into 64 and 25 times into 100, so that's going to be 16 out of 25. And then for part C, again we're going to start 72 out of 100, and again it's going to be 4 again, I think. So we're looking at 4's going to 72 fully 18 times, and into 20 and into 100 5 times, so 18 out of 25. Okay, question 2. Write the following numbers in order, starting with the smallest. So we're going in ascending order. I would convert these all into decimal. So we've already got that one in decimal form. This one would be 0.3, and then this one would be 0.61, and then it's just easier to order them when they're all in the same format. So this is the smallest, 3 out of 10, followed by 61%, making sure we go original form, followed by 0.62. And commas to separate. And I would tend to use this strategy all the way through this question. I'm just preempting looking at the other ones. So this is going to be 0.33 as a decimal. This one's already as a decimal. This one would be times by 5, so 0.35 would be 35 out of 100, so 0.35. And then when we order them, then the smallest one is going to be 0.32, followed by 33%, followed by 7 over 20, commas to separate. And then our final one, so 37% as a decimal, 0.37, and then this is going to be 0.4, because it's 4 out of 10, which would be 40 out of 100, so 0.4. And then ordering these, then 37% is going to be my smallest, followed by 0.38, followed by 2 over 5. And then commas separate. Okay, question 2. John earns £2,300 per month. He spends 15% of his salary on rent and 3/5 of his salary on bills. Work out how much John has left after he has paid his rent and his bills. Do I agree with this scaffold? I can kind of see how they would do it. I'm going to do it myself, and then I'll do the scaffold after. So he spent 15% of his salary on rent, so I'm going to work out 15% of that. So I'm going to do 2,300 times by 0.15, and then on rent, and 3/5 of his salary on bills. So I'm going to do 2,300 times by 3/5 as well, and then work out how much he has left afterwards. So once I've worked out these two totals, I'm going to add them together, and then I'm going to do my value, take away that. So 2,300 times by 0.15 is going to be 345, and then I'm going to go back and change that to 3/5. I'm actually going to take a slight shortcut and call that 0.6, because it would be 6 out of 10. So 1,300, and I didn't quite catch that, 80. When I add those two figures together, then I will get the amount of money that he spent, So he spent £1,725 of his monthly paycheck. So how much does he have left? I'm going to do 2,300 minus 1,725. So 2,300 minus the answer that I just worked out, so £575. Right, so that's how I would typically do the question. How they've suggested it is scaffolding it in terms of percentage, which makes sense. I have no issue with this. If I go over this, so 3/5 is going to be 60%. We discussed that. So 15 plus 60% is going to be 75%. So he spent 75% of his wage. So he's got 25% left. So 25% of this is going to be the same as, and I'm hoping we get the same answer. 25% will actually show the percentage button if anyone's particularly keen. Times by 2,300 gives us 575. So we've done it two ways, get the same answer. Definitely got that right. So question 4, there are 120 students in year 11. 9/20ths of the students travel to school by bike, 15% of the students travel to school by car, the rest of the students walk to school. How many students walk to school? So I quite like that last method, so we'll kind of adopt it for this one as well. 9/20ths is going to be 45%, and then 45% plus 15% is going to be equal to 60%. So the rest of the students, so we want to work out 40% of 120. We can actually do this without a calculator, so 10% would be 12, so it's going to be 12 times by 4, so it would be 48. Absolutely fine to do that on a calculator though. Right, question 5. Amy earns £2,100 each month and saves 30% of this. Bavin earns £1,800 and saves a third of this. Who saves the most money each month? So we want 30% of 2,100 is going to be equal to, and we want 1/3 of 180. I'm going to do this without a calculator. So 30%, well 10% would be 210. So 30% is going to be £630. And then 1/3 of that is, add this to 0 off, 1/3 of that is going to be equal to £600. So who saves the most money? That was Amy, and that was Bavin. So Amy. Okay, and that brings us to the end of this section. That was section 56, or page 56, fractions, decimals and percentages. I hope you found that useful, and subscribe if you like.